Madakape, Machante Waste, Nape Chuzapalo, Day Braveheart here, and want to welcome you to, well, our 48th annual virtual powwow. Not sure if we're going to stay with 48th because it's virtual. Maybe next year will be the official 48. We don't know, but this is unprecedented time for all of us in Indian country. I know a lot of powwows have postponed their powwow to keep the people safe and to use good judgment and support the health and well-being of our communities. I totally support that, and with that in mind, we decided that we need to do the same here. Even though it may seem like things have settled down, but in reading through the news and listening to the news and people talking, it's still uncertain times, and I think we need to be safe rather than sorry. So we don't want to second guess ourselves and try to have a live, face-to-face, awesome, good powwow, because that's what we want. But this year, in 2020, we can't make that happen. So with that said, we want to acknowledge all of our people out there who generally come to the Mahkato Wacipi here in Mankato, Minnesota. We want to give a greetings to you, and maybe perhaps each and every one of you can continue your good prayers, because I know people have been praying, but also think about this powwow. You know, this is the 48th annual powwow, and there have been many powwows before, and think about some good memories. Something that really stood out for you. And if you can think about that and are willing to share that on our Facebook page, Mahkato Wacipi, that would really be awesome, because we want to hear stories, and I know there's a lot of stories out there that I've heard from other folks, you know, and people, even couples who met here for the first time are, you know, this is their gathering place, and they come back here every year because this is where they met, and that's awesome. So with that said, you know, we have adapted what we plan to do here. We're going to do a virtual powwow. You'll hear some good words from our previous MC, Mr. Jerry Dearly, Lexi Jerry Dearly. He's my uncle, and he has some good words. And I know we have a good song by Mazakute, maybe some good words, and some other folks who are going to share with you. So again, if you have a good memory, share it with us on Facebook so that we can, you know, pass that on. You know, on memory, I like to share that if you all remember the late Mr. Bud Lawrence, who was the original founder of this powwow, along with Mr. Amos Owens and Mr. Jim Buckley. Those are some pretty powerful names that really echo in my mind, in my memories, and in my heart. One year, you know, with Bud getting up there in his late 80s, we wanted to honor him, and we actually brought him in through the grand entry. Both Dan Zalski and myself were able to flank Mr. Bud Lawrence on each side of him, and dance in to the powwow with him, and that was really an awesome sight. And that's one of the things that really stands out for me, you know, as I think about some good things that happened here in Mankato at the powwow here. So wanted to share that. You know, maybe all of you can think about Bud and his family, and you know, they still really miss him. And we all here at the powwow really miss him too, because he was pretty important and visible here at this powwow. Well, you know, when I first moved here in 2011, I knew that the Mankato powwow was here, and I wanted to be involved. I wanted to be supportive, and because I know powwow, I've been to powwows. I'm a singer, and I don't sing at powwows anymore, really. But you know, I've been to many powwows, and I've actually been to this powwow back in the early 2000s for a few years there before I had moved on and moved out to the west. Then my wife and my kids and I decided to move back this way, and we chose Mankato, and knowing that the powwow here, we decided this is the place that we needed to set up camp and you know, settle in. So in my first year getting involved with the powwow under the leadership of Mr. Dave Larson, it was an honor to come on board and to be part of the committee and planning and get ready for the powwow at that time. And you know, the next thing you know, I got I got voted on as to be the treasurer, to look like somebody who was trustworthy. I guess I am, and you know, things really turned out good that year for the powwow, and you know, being a treasurer and supporting and working along with all our committee members. It was a learning experience, and it was also a good way to, you know, get settled into Mankato and get to know some of the people here who are really intimately involved with the planning and making the powwow happen. And you know, as you can see, we have a really good powwow committee, because ever since then, you know, I've been part of it. You know, they have all stepped up to make the powwow a success. Well, after my first year of being the treasurer, Mr. Dave Larson stepped down, and then I got voted in as chairperson. And I remember somebody telling me, said, Dave, you know, when you get elected to be the chair of the Mankato powwow, you have to be in that position for 4 years. And I was thinking, well, that's not quite like a Sundance or you know, making a 4-year vow to Sundance or to Vision Quest. And I said, oh, okay, I'll just take it 1 year at a time. Well, I think I'm going on my 7th year as the chair of the Mankato powwow, and from what I'm hearing, people are tired of it. Just kidding. You know, I didn't have any idea or any inkling that I would be serving in that capacity for that many years. So, you know, and I don't know how long I will serve in that capacity, but you know, I'll let the committee decide that. And you know, at some point, I know that at some point that we have to pass that baton to another leader, a younger leader, native, that can lead this effort and this you know, this legacy that Amos, Bud, and Jim left us, and all the other folks from the different surrounding communities, from Prairie Island to Shakopee to the Upper and Lower Sioux communities. To, you know, that person will represent all those communities and other communities that are part of this powwow here. So I love being in the position. You know, it's a lot of work, and but you know, when I think about it, you know, with a great committee that I mentioned, it's not that hard. It's just kind of keeping the direction and the flow and the effort going in a good way with people who stay committed, because they all volunteer their time. And then, volunteering time is not always easy. These are not paid positions. But we believe in the prayer and the vision that Amos started here at the Land Memories Park. There's a lot of history here in Mankato, or a lot of us call it Mahkato, because there's blue earth clay here in the area, and that's why they call it Mahkato. But obviously, we had the hanging of the 38 Dakota men in 1862, and that really put a dark cloud over this area, the Mankato. And then the Dakota were exiled from Minnesota, and everybody left. Even though the Ho-Chunk tribe were exiled along with us, because they lived in the area too. So it's an unfortunate event that happened. But over the years, as people talked about what happened here, and it's called many things, the Dakota Sioux Uprising, or the U.S.-Dakota conflict, whatever you want to call it, it was a tragedy for our Dakota people. And I have to admit too, it was a tragedy for the settlers as well. But in that light, we knew that over time there has to be some kind of reconciliation, some kind of healing, sometimes of a better understanding and about what happened. So, we obviously have the run, which started early on, I think back in the 80s. I think that was inspired by Mr. William Mailbear. And by the way, William had made his journey to the spirit world. But he was a part of that dream, that effort to bring an awareness here in Mankato and to honor our 38 Dakota men who sacrificed their lives here. And then later on, back in the 2000s, maybe 2009 or 10, maybe earlier than that, then there was a riot that started in Lower Brew, South Dakota, and that was Mr. Jim Miller. He had a dream about that, and decided to fulfill that dream. So now we have both the ride and the run converge here on December 26th every year. We have two groups of people who are in prayer and trying to bring an awareness, that healing, that presence, that good spirit that is here in Mankato. So, and that's part of our what happens here in Mankato. We don't only have the powwow, but we have the run and the ride, and we all support each other. And it grows every year, and there's a great presence there at Reconciliation Park in downtown, the old downtown of Mankato. We have where the buffalo is, and the scroll that has the names of the Dakota 38, as well as a prayer by Mr. Eli Taylor. So those things were all tied together here in Mankato. And soon, Mr. Tom Miller, who sculpted the buffalo, is going to add another piece, a structure of a pair of moccasins. And those pair of moccasins will represent all the other men, women, and children who were marched up to Fort Snelling in that internment camp. And we know what happened there. So we're trying to remember all the events, because there's so many events that even prior to the conflict and after, the aftermath, that affected not only the Dakota people, but also many other tribal nations who were under attack by the U.S. cavalry. You know, I know this year we're calling it the 48th annual virtual powwow, and maybe next year we'll still call it the 48th annual, but I don't know. We have to decide that. We maybe want to keep counting the years, because it will be the 49th annual next year. You know, we keep building on this powwow. Last year we had our arbor erected here at the powwow. We finally have an arbor, and we really want to grow that and improve on our structure. We want to add new flag poles, more bleachers, a nice stage for what they call a crow's nest for our announcers, and a better lighting system. And so those are things we're working on for the future. So we have a good lighting system in the evening for our dancers and spectators, and as well as our vendors. So we're just going to keep growing things, improving upon what we do have, upgrading some of the campsites with better electrical outlets. That's been a part of the conversation as we talk about improving. And all this has been done with our relationship, our partnership with the city of Mankato. They have been awesome. They have been supportive. And, you know, I know there's going to be some new leadership there at the Rapid City Mayor. I know is supporting us. We're going to have a new city manager at some point, and we want to build that relationship to keep the momentum going for our powwow experience here for the people. And this is all part of the dream, part of the vision, part of the prayer, is to keep the powwow going to a level of that it's a homecoming for all our Dakota people, because this is our land, and continue to build on those relationships, and gather together as Tuahe or Tioshpai. All those are important part of keeping that tradition going, and so that we can continue to gather and celebrate and create good memories, and continue to pass this on to the next generation. I know we've had the next generation experience this powwow. We want to keep that going. So once again, my relatives, in this time of uncertainty, 2020, I know we won't see you here this year, but we hope to see you next year. And let's hope for the best, and that our health and well-being will be as good as it always has been prior to this pandemic crisis. So with that, we'll keep you all in our thoughts and prayers. Be safe and take care of one another, and remember to attend to our youth and to the elders who need us to be there for them. Aho.